Hello guys, my name is Raluca.
And my name is Ruxandra.
And this is UT Journeys, the podcast where we invite ambitious students and hear more about their student life, extracurriculars,
and most importantly, how you can enhance your study journey. In this episode, I'm talking to Patrick and Victor, treasurer and chairman of last year's board of Duitenberg, the Student Investment Association at the University of Twente. They will share how they got involved and what makes Duitenberg unique, from teaching students how to invest wisely to offering a powerful network in the finance world. So, let's uncover what makes Duitenberg special. Hi guys, welcome to UT Journeys.
Hello, thank you very much
Hello
for
there.
having us.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you here. Okay, so let's begin with Duitenberg. What is Duitenberg?
Well, it's the most beautiful association on the whole UT, of course. No,
I totally agree with that.
Perhaps you start by talking, Mr. Treasurer.
Yeah, I can start with talking. So Duitenberg is an association founded in 1986. We are, I think, one of the oldest association in the whole UT, so we kind of have a legacy regarding that. We started firstly as a committee of association stress, and later on we kind of divided and became like an association by their own. And right now we are currently having around 50 active members and 200 like total members, which also include alumni. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Okay, and what does Duitenberg unique compared to other associations in UT?
So first of all, I don't believe, and I'm pretty sure about that, there is other association that teach you how to invest. Probably there are some association that teach you financial stuff, but not actually how to invest in stocks and other stuff. We have lectures, which are like kind of the core of our association. So basically we have like evenings where we teach people how to pick up a company, how to invest, what is the logic behind of it, and all of those stuff. And we also have analysis evenings. So based on the actual knowledge that you gained, you afterwards go and apply it in real life.
Yeah. Can you tell us how both of you got involved in the association and what was your position?
Well, for me, it was a really interesting story. So I actually got into the association to one of my friends. We were like doing a practical at, I think in module 2. Yeah, in module 2.
That long ago already?
Yes.
Jesus.
So we were like in the practical, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to have like a lecture." And I was like, "What lecture you're going to have in the evening?" And he was like, "Yeah, just some cool guys like talking about finance stuff and then having a beer at the end." And I was like, "Damn, that sounds like that sounds like a plan." So yeah, he just invited me, and then yeah, I joined like 2-3 lectures, and afterwards I started to be more involved, and yeah, afterwards I became on board of the association.
What was your position in the board?
Treasurer. I was the treasurer, so the guy with the money.
The money guy from the Money Association.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
All right.
What about you, Victor?
Yeah, so I started during Corona my studies, and I already knew I was trying to get into investing, but I knew really nothing about it. But during Corona, well, nothing really was happening. So my second year, I was like, all right, let's just go to an introduction lecture of Duitenberg. I had been following them already for a bit. And they fed me a little bit too much alcohol, and then I signed the contract, and well, here we are. So it was not something I regret, luckily. I started out with joining a committee, which I became chairman of quite quickly. And 1.5 years later, well, the previous board just asked, hey, do you want to become a board member? I was like, well, actually, I have some free time left. So I was chosen as chairman. And that's how we really ended up in the board.
And can you tell us what responsibilities do you have in these positions that you had?
Yeah, well, I'll start as I'm the chairman, so I'm above you, Mr. Treasurer. No, we don't really do that hierarchy stuff. But as a chairman, you're actually responsible for everything, and specifically your board members. Because, well, as a chairman, you're not supposed to do anything. That's always what they say. You're just doing nothing, but are responsible for everything, and it's actually quite true. I just make sure that our long-term plans are actually being held, because you get really caught up in the day-to-day business very easily. Like the first 2 weeks, you're like, all right, we have to do this next week, the week after. And then you completely forget that you want something in May or June or whatever. So that's mainly the goal of the chairman, and also keeping your board members in check. Because, I actually said during the policy, I don't want to become too much of a Nazi, because I want to like micromanage everything. Luckily, I think I managed that goal of myself, because I let them free a bit. and we had quite a nice year. So I had nothing I was too scared about having responsibility over, luckily.
Definitely, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
So I was the treasurer, as I said before. My main role was to keep the financials of the company, which was kind of a challenging job to do, considering that, some of the duties that I got were like not fully correct, and then I had to go in deep like years before to actually find the correct numbers. So knowing nothing about like what the actual position is doing, not knowing how to handle it, and first of all, just the general idea what is the end goal of the stuff is the hardest thing. But I think we did a pretty good job. There were a lot of nights when we were like just calling and then figuring out stuff and like make it go right. But in the end, I can say that we definitely had a journey in terms of knowledge gaining.
Yeah, you specifically, because we started with a new accounting system this year. Well, we started with it last year, but we had to restart again this year because the previous guy just really left a mess. And this guy has been up like weeks at a time, every evening, trying to get it fixed and calling everybody. So you can be proud of yourself, man. You earned it.
Yeah. So, from what I understand, Duitenberg is all about financial literacy and investing. Why do you think it's important for students to learn about investing and finance early on?
You wanna, or should I?
You should.
All right.
You can go.
Well, I think it's important for everybody, not just the students. If you're 60 years old, I don't care. You should know how the financial markets work, because money makes the world go around. Sadly, it's just a fact. And if you don't know how it works, then you're going to be a couple steps behind all the people that do know how it works. And a lot of people look at investing like, oh, it's such a big thing, and there's so many things I could put my money in, and my uncle does crypto, and my aunt does real estate and whatever. I can never understand how it works. It's really easy. So just join a couple lectures, you'll at least understand the basics. And if you're not interested, fine, you can just go on with your life, but you at least understand the basics. So I think it's very important for everybody to know how it works, because I think more than half of the people at the UT have a loan for their studies. Well, that's part of the financial system, and if you don't really understand how the basics work, then, well, you're going to have some problems later on in life. So that's why I think it's very important for everybody to know.
Definitely.
And how do you think financial literacy will impact a student's future career or personal life? What do you think the concrete impact will be if they join the association and actually are financially literate?
I think in general, you're not going to be surprised by your financial situation later on in life. Because let's say you just spend every penny you have, you always rent a house, you never buy a house, and you end up at 50, you're like, all right, I have a nice paying job, my kids are going to college, I'm thinking about retiring, but because you have no savings and no investments, you actually have to stay until the government tells you, okay, it's now 70 years old before you can retire. You have been working in construction your whole life. At 65, your body gives out. You want to be financially stable later on in life, and I think the earlier you start with this, the earlier later on in your life you can actually reach those goals. So at 50, you can say, all right, I'll work 5 or 6 more years, and then I'll go back to 3 days a week of working because I have enough saved up, and my kids don't need to worry about having student loans because, well, I saved a bit for them. So I think starting out very early and getting literate in finance helps you throughout your whole life, and definitely closer to the end of it, to be more financially set and don't have any stress about finances. I don't know if you have something to add to that.
Yeah, I totally agree with Victor. And as he said, like, it's super important. And let's put it like in a real-time case, you know, like you just say, as Victor said, like you have like a financial issue, not an issue, like you have like a debt, you know, as a student. And you don't know anything what it is about, what are interest rates, how long does it go to be paid, and if you can find a job, because that's also like a really important question. Can you find a job soon so you can start actually covering that ditch that you are into? And just not knowing anything and start to learn that when you are already like at your job and you are already like putting your mentally in a challenge, it's already hard for you. So I would say that knowing stuff beforehand will be definitely a good gain for you as an individual.
Nice.
That's a really good point indeed. Now you have the time mentally and physically to actually start learning this stuff. Otherwise, you have a job, a family, perhaps, and that
So
takes
it's
a
the
lot more.
best opportunity to do it now.
I would say, yeah.
I think it's better if you start early knowing these things, because if you are actually getting into this problem, I think it's more complicated to recover from it. I think.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, the financial system is made so as soon as you get in debt, it's very tough to get out of it again.
Yeah.
Sadly, I had to get into it before my studies, so I'm not happy about it. But at least I know how the system works. But yeah, as you said, the sooner you get into it, the tougher it is to get out of it. Yeah.
All right. So any association has multiple committees. Can you tell us a bit more about your committees in Duitenberg?
Well, of course, we have multiple, and we're very proud of them. Definitely. Let's start out with the non-investing ones. I think those are a bit less interesting for the podcast. We have an activity committee, which is just a couple guys coming together, and when the board tells you, "Hey, we want to organize such and such activity here. You have a budget. Here's a deadline, and if you need any help, call us." And then they just set up very nice activities. So we have a barbecue at the end of the lecture year. We have a New Year's dinner during January, things like that. They all just manage that stuff. So that takes a lot of, weight off the shoulders of the board. Then we have the IT committee that does the website for us and does something else with investing in IT, but we just
I can talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a second. What else do we have? So the merchandise committee, well, it probably says you understand what it does. It makes beautiful Duitenberg merchandise. And then our investing committees, which are very important and also very thought of well. But perhaps you explain first what the IT committee does.
Definitely. So I was part of the IT committee among being part of other committees. I was super crowded last year. But the IT committee had multiple goals. The main goal was, of course, our website and recognition through other students. But our kind of goal shifted along the years, and then we started to get a bit more technical. So we started to develop an investment bot. And then our investment bot actually was doing quite okay in the market, almost closing to beat sometimes SP500, which is kind of the baseline of all of the stock in general is just a baseline. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, we kind of worked a lot on it, but we also bumped into some issues sometimes. So it was quite a challenging thing to do. And apart from the investment bot, we also developed a stock screener. So for example, when you don't know what company to look into, but you do know some of the financials, you can just put some ratios there, and then you can just filter the companies based on your options. And that was basically the thing that we wanted to do. And of course, people ask me, but this kind of stuff already exists on the market, like Yahoo Finance or investing.com. But what we wanted to do is implementing the features that are not available by the basic subscription, only premium subscription. So you had to pay for it. And then we kind of started to implement those premium ones in basic model. But of course, that takes a bit more time to do.
Wait, and the investing robot, is it now functional? Are you still using it in your association?
So right now, the development of it is 70%. So it's not fully done. It still has to be trained because we are using a lot of algorithms for it. But we want to make it we wanted to make it by the end of the year functional. But unfortunately, a lot of people were super busy with studies. So the project was not properly finalized, but definitely if people are interested to join the committee and continue with the work, I think probably 2-3 months, and then we can already start to put it in practice.
Yeah, I think that would be a pretty interesting thing, especially for the computer science and VIT students.
Definitely. So
if
you guys see this, join the IT committee.
Nice call to action there, man.
Yeah. Okay, and now we can move on to the investment committee.
Definitely, yeah. So I'll first give you a bit of background because they're actually unique. Our investment committee is actually unique compared to all the other study investment associations in the Netherlands, because usually there are two types of ways a study investment association manages their fund. So either you are a member and you buy into the fund of the association. You can buy one share of the thing, and then they have once every quarter they have meeting where you can suggest new stocks, and then the board is going to look into what they should or shouldn't put in the fund. And at the end of when you get out of the association, you can get your money back. And if they had a nice return, then you get a return on it. The other way around is that the association doesn't really have a fund. So you just are part of the association. You go to the lectures, you go to the events, but you invest on your own. And we are actually unique in the fact that we say, all right, we part of the income each year, I think it's about 10%, right? That we put into
even more sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes even more than 10% of our total budget that gets into the association gets given to the investing committees. We have 2 of them. Because there was so much interest in there, we had to split it, and now we have two committees. So they actually manage our investments. So instead of I as a member buying into the fund, we just hear what the committees are doing, and personally as a member, you don't get anything out of their investment efforts. But the nice thing is if you actually are interested in joining or in doing investment, you don't want to risk your own money. You go into the association and you go then into the committee. And then you actually, play, I shouldn't say play, but you play around with real money. So you feel when it goes down quite tough, because we have, in the committee I was in, we've had like certain investments go down 40%. And even though it's not your own money, you think, ooh, that hurts. And then you still run the risk of losing real money, but not your own money. So you still get the how should I call it? The real lessons that stay with you throughout your life are the ones you learn when you lose a lot of money in investing, and then you don't have to waste your own money with it. So that in that case, they're unique. They don't even have to say to the board, hey, we're going to buy this. We just give them complete freedom in what they're going to buy. However, the chairman is, of course, responsible for selecting good investments. And another nice thing that we have is because we have 2 committees, each year at the changeover GMA, there's a bet between the chairmen of both committees. Like the one that beats the other wins, and the one loses, they have an interesting punishment that I won't say on camera, but it's not nice. So they are incentivized to actually make good investments. So,
about your investment committees, can you tell us one big fail that an investment committee had, and one big success? You can only just say the company that was maybe involved in the.
Shall I talk about the fail?
Which one would it be?
Flow traders.
No, that's not the biggest one we've had.
It was one of the biggest.
Yeah, okay, you can tell that one. No problem.
So we had like a company called Flow Traders. I don't know if you guys heard about it before. So, for example, when you want to buy a stock from the internet, there are like a certain amount of shares that are issued from a company. And of course, when you buy something from somewhere, somebody needs to sell it. So it's kind of like a deal between buyer and seller. And of course, like not everybody is like having the same timing. So I want to buy now, somebody is exactly like selling now. So you have these companies that are basically buying a lot of stocks and like selling a lot of stocks. I think it's happening like all time, like 24/7.
Yeah, and it's also done in a millisecond.
Yes, so it's like 24/7, and basically they are like a man in the middle. So you just buy like from them and stuff like that. And of course, they have like certain commissions for that, and you have like a different, I think, also like stock price. But we invested into them. I think they were also one of our sponsors 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, from what I've heard. But the thing was, they started to have like a really bad period. So I don't know what exactly was the percentage, but probably it was close to 30-40%.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I feel
30-40% loss.
Yes. So you put in €100 and you get out 65. So that's not nice.
What about the biggest success?
Well, I think that's very recent, actually. The committee I was in, the Thursday committee, the other committee is the Monday committee. We bought a very boring company. It's called Silvamo, and they make printer paper. Well, everybody's like, printer paper, there's no future in it. The company even tells you, the market is going to shrink, so we're going to sell less in less volume. But the nice and interesting thing about them is they have the cheapest production in the whole world, and they have a lot of trees. So even if the price of wood, so wood pulp makes paper, if that price of wood goes up, they are like, we'll just use our own tree. So our bottom line is safe. And we bought it, I think, in November last year. And at the GMA, which was last week, We had a 98% return on that. So less than a year, it went up almost twice. I personally also bought it, and it's now doubled in less than a year, which is unheard of. It usually never happens. Definitely not with these types of very boring companies that do almost nothing. But we were very happy with it. So my opinion would be buy boring companies. There's sometimes very nice money to be made.
Well, that company was the horse that pulled you to the end to be the winners of the competition.
Indeed. So therefore, we also won the GMA bet. So we are very happy about it. Luckily, I wasn't chairman of the committee, so I was not at risk. But we were very happy.
Just as a background, I'm part of the Monday Investment Committee.
Yeah, and there's a bit of rivalry here.
And he's part of the Thursday one, so...
Finally,
I cannot really say that I'm happy for the situation, but I'm happy for the overall situation because, in the end, we are just united, so we are one unit.
Yeah.
Well, still, congratulations on your victory.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
So now I think we can move on to the network opportunities around Duitenberg. Can you offer us a bit of a glimpse? What opportunities are there for students?
Well, of course, but I think you are better at speaking about the networking because you also joined the dispute. So I think it's nice to talk a bit about that as well.
Dispute?
What's a dispute?
We should go into that as well.
Yeah,
I will tell you what exactly it is. So
don't wear the jacket, right?
No.
Nice.
This is the normal one. Yeah. Like I was about not too much promotion from the start.
I would be mad if you wore the what's it called, dispute jacket. But nice. Sorry.
Good.
Continue.
So, what exactly is the networking of Duitenberg and what exactly we offer to people in terms of connections? So, being like an association from 1986, we are having a lot of members that right now are having families and are working at big banks or like other financial companies. And a really good example that I'm giving to people, they were saying, but they are old members, probably don't have connection with them anymore. How do we get to them? And a good example would be probably the London trip. So,
definitely,
for example, we organized a trip to London to visit financial companies. One of them was Norddeutsche Bank, I think it was called, and the other one was Large Point. And the main factor to decide like which company to pick up was basically, for example, for one of them, the Norddeutsche Bank, one of our alumni was working there. And then he was the one that basically kind of pulled some strings to be able to go there and do an in-house day. So to see how exactly they are working, how exactly they are just doing their like day-to-day life as an employee there. And the cherry on top of the cake was that the former chairman before you of Duitenberg was able to get an internship there. So he was working.
Oh, he did
there.
his bachelor thesis there.
Or bachelor thesis, or bachelor thesis there, and he was like in London for like 3 months, if I'm not mistaken, and
only expense of the company.
Exactly, only expense of the company. So he did not pay any money, and he also earned money by doing that. Yes.
Well, I made the wrong decision. I know.
I'm jealous.
Exactly. So that was like a really good example that we had. And of course, another example we have with Martijn Roosmuller, the founder of VanEck, which is like this.
Oh, he's not founder. He's CEO of the European part. Yes. So it's a very large ETF, exchange traded fund provider. I think the second largest in the world, and he's like responsible for the whole European thing. So he's also alumni of Duitenberg.
That's better.
Which we're very proud of course.
Yes, and we also have like another alumni. We can talk about the guy from Value Machine Fund.
Hendrik Oudenhuis.
Yeah, Hendrik. And they are like people that are like joining Duitenberg from time to time, giving lectures and being also our sponsors. So we are really proud to measure their name here.
Yeah, definitely. So those are the biggest names in our network. But what I also want to expand a bit on is the fact that investing is creating a thesis about a company and then making a decision based on that thesis. And the most important thing I think I received from joining Duitenberg is the fact that I have an idea about this company. I did all my research very, very well thought out and whatever, at least that's what I think. And I talked to some fellow Duitenberg members and the first one says, have you heard this news? And I was like, So, okay, the CEO is actually doing very weird things, so I maybe should not buy it. Well, otherwise, if I wouldn't have talked to them, I would never have even know that news, and then I would still buy, and perhaps it went down like a couple of days later. So I think the network is also very interesting about getting new tips for stocks, getting everybody's understanding of stocks, and also just having people to talk about investing about, because I can tell you nobody really cares about investing except a few people that will join someone like that. Where I'm not going to go on a family holiday and talk about the stocks of it. Like nobody wants that. Nobody likes to talk about it. So it's very nice to actually have someone to spar with, like, hey, what's your opinion about this? And also just people that have the same interest in you, where you just can't really talk about that topic anywhere else. So that's also some two very important things about joining such a committee as this. Committee, I should say, association.
So
Alright.
firstly, connections, really important. And secondly, having like a conversation with somebody that probably is already doing those stuff and can give you just like small tips, and you're already ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anytime two brains are better than one. So
Definitely.
even in this case, it seems.
And if you have 20 of them, well,
Well, 20 brains are definitely better than one.
Especially if some of them are super experienced and they're like just experts in the field.
It feels
well, I
like
would never call someone from Duitenberg an expert in the field, but they have way more, what's it called, experience than
Yes.
like a new person or someone like me.
True.
it feels like because you seem like a very close association. At least the active members, like you said, you have around 50 active members that join like every week. Feels like this makes it even more valuable because you're not just going to the lectures and learning stuff. You actually have the opportunity to discuss, and I feel like that's more valuable than just attending a lecture. Because, for example, I could watch a YouTube video
Yes,
and learn the same things that you teach me in the lecture, right? But then
exactly.
I feel like the value comes from your community and from the fact that you help each other and discuss these things.
I think the most important, like, probably activity that we do after the lecture, that is the moment that actually is the most important one, in my opinion. So, for example, you have, the lecture itself, when you have, like, the knowledge and all of the stuff. But then after the lecture, we go to our office and then having, like, some drinks there and, like, just talk about how did it go, what did you guys like. So mostly getting a feedback about how we are doing the stuff and how people feel about it. And at the same time, there is also the part when people are asking you like tough questions, and then you probably don't know the answer. So you just make yourself more aware that, you are not an expert, and you also need to learn more from other people that probably even don't have like that much experience as you have, So yeah, definitely the drinks in our office after the lecture are also a really important part.
Yeah.
Because that starts up a lot of discussions.
Yeah, and I also want to hook into something you said a couple of seconds ago. The fact that you could watch a YouTube video and get taught the same things. All right, so on the basics, I agree on you. I mean, the basic of investing is not too tough, but after like the first couple months of the lecture year, we actually get way more complex lectures. We get guest lectures from certain companies. I think one of our sponsors, Sprenkels, they advise pension funds on how to invest. Well, I can tell you that's not something you can just find on the internet, and they give us all the insight. So indeed, the basics you can watch on the internet, but we also provide lectures that you just can't really find on the internet or wherever. So I think next to indeed definitely the talks after the lectures, sometimes the lectures are also very unique. So that's something I wanted to have said.
That's nice, actually, that you have guest lecturers and then it's like you collect views from different parts.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about the financial market. It's so broad that you can easily fill a whole year of lectures with a different topic each week.
So other than the trips, like the open house day,
In-house day, yes.
in-house day, okay. Other than the trips, like the in-house day in London, does Duitenberg offer any other opportunities? For example, like guest lectures, you already mentioned them, but anything like workshops or something like this?
I think you can talk about the Zwolle and Nijmegen activity that we
Yeah,
did. That was the
thing is,
collaboration that we had.
You ask about opportunities. Do you mean like a career opportunities, or what do you mean with opportunities?
What other things probably we offer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So in general, indeed, we have mainly lectures, but we usually give a couple workshops throughout the year as well, just to get really into the grit of investing. So we just give you a couple stocks and tell you, well, in an hour you're going to tell me if it's a good buy or not, and then they have to learn to swim a bit on their own. And also we have made a quite good connection with two other study investment associations. Pecunia Causa, and what's the other one? Carpe Divitias. Those are from Zwolle and Nijmegen, respectively. So they're close by. We can have an interesting activity/event with them. This so that you could also call an opportunity. So that's mainly what we're about. Mainly lectures, workshops, and only sometimes we have big excursions like the London trip or going to Nijmegen to visit our fellow study investment people. And once in a while, we also have some fun activities because, well, being too serious all week, it's not too nice. So sometimes we have mainly alcohol-induced nice events. So
Yeah, well, we are kind of trying to make a balance of everything. So, like students are, of course, interesting also into finance and like learning all of the opportunities that the field has to offer. But sometimes, like, for example, during the exam week, let's say, you don't really want to learn something more. You already are overwhelmed, probably, like the amount of materials that you have to do. And yeah, just like going like probably somewhere where you have to absorb other new stuff is just like probably impossible for the moment. So we are organizing also like parties and all of those stuff when people basically go beyond like being in a suit or like something like that and actually like dress normally and enjoy the party and having like a conversation, and afterwards we go in the seat, and then that's how we kind of end up our night.
Nice. Very fancy suits, by the way.
Thank you. You shouldn't call casual wear normal, man. It's just
I was thinking about casual, but
yes, casual. This is the normal way. No, sadly, in the Netherlands, it's not normal anymore. Like 50 years ago, it was, but these days, people don't like you wearing suits in the Netherlands. They always look at you like, "What are you doing, man? Why are you wearing a suit?"
Kids nowadays.
Well, the thing was when we were in London, we have like 20 people walking in what Patrick is wearing, so suit and tie and nice shoes and whatever, and nobody even gives you a single look. Everybody's just like, all right, sure. If you do that here in Enschede or even in Amsterdam, it's like people are looking at you. Where are you going? Why do you look so? Are you better than me? Like they almost get mad about like the way they look at you. I'm like, I'm just wearing what I want to wear. But sadly, in the Netherlands, it's just not really allowed anymore to wear suits. So we break from the tradition and we go back to old school wear. I don't know, but
Trendsetters.
Bring back the norms.
Bring back the suit and tie, man. Come on. I think it's very important. I would love to wear a suit every day, but I don't think people would like me for it. So definitely not as a student, but
we can start a new trend.
Yeah, but then we're going to be the only two guys on the whole uni walking around in suits, and everybody's like, "Oh, there you have those two dorks again."
Well, probably with this podcast we can bring more awareness. So
people wear a suit and tie. It's nice. They're going to look at the camera anyway, so wear this. It's beautiful. Look at my man over here. Who wouldn't want to date this? Come on, tell me. Sorry, that's a little sidetrack.
Yeah, let's go back to you as individuals and as students and as boards of Duitenberg. So what were some of the most significant challenges that you had as board?
Shall we start with the biggest one?
Yeah, definitely. You can start with that one, and then I can go on my videos.
You have the second biggest one, which is like the whole accounting software. So the biggest problem we had throughout the year was we started with 5 board members, and we ended the year with 4. The board member that stayed from the last year, which was the external from that year, that's the guy that has the contracts and the information about the sponsorship. Well, he had to leave because of some personal circumstances. We were completely fine with it. But then we found out that everything was mainly done on a speaking basis. So there was no really records of what we had talked about with our sponsors, what was the current status of them. So then we were all like, all right, we trusted this guy with doing the external and sponsorship stuff. Now he's gone. First of all, we have no idea really what happened because he was really busy, so he couldn't really give us a good heads up or a document explaining what actually the role entails. It was just like, sorry guys, I can't handle this anymore, I need to go. And we were like, okay, so how do we even do this whole role? So we assigned one of our fellow board members to the role, which luckily he picked up quite well. But we found out, okay, half of our sponsors were like, okay, if you asked us in September if we wanted to sponsor you, we would be completely fine. But now you ask us in January and we have no money left for sponsoring. So our budget really got impacted by this whole thing. And that was our main struggle throughout the year, making sure that we didn't spend too much money, so we didn't use too much of our savings, because, well, you don't save money to be spending it all in 1 year. And actually that also get new sponsors on the board because, well, you need to continue the association. And if we didn't get any new sponsors, we could like perhaps fix our year, and then the next year we would go bankrupt. So that was our biggest challenge. And starting from January, we really had to put in a lot more effort. And luckily it paid off, and we didn't lose too much money throughout the year. But it has been quite tough, both on physical time and on our mental state, because we're like, all right, we're responsible for this beautiful association, but our money is just not there. So what people have been used to past years, that they don't have to pay for this event, or that they pay €5 and now they have to pay 15. Like, people are not going to be too interested, too happy about it. So that was something we were really struggling with. And in the end, I think we managed the best that we could have managed, but still it's something you were like, all right, it took a lot of effort, and we had hoped that it would go a bit better. But yeah, in the end it went okay, I would say.
But really important also to mention here is the fact that even though we had like not such a healthy financial year, we still managed to like pull all of the activities that were like on our agenda from the beginning. So imagine when you start like with big plans and you already like separated the money from everything, and then you basically have to like cut the costs. I think we actually probably have been one of the board members that optimized like the cost like in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Because we kind of really look into like all of the details and how we can go and be like super efficient about all of the stuff. So yeah, instead of like just not caring about Stasi health and just like throwing in the garden, let's say, we just went with it, and then we cared like every single penny. About everything.
Yeah, I think that's indeed a very good point. So even though it was a really, really big challenge, I think we learned a lot from it, which in our personal life is always applicable, I think.
Yes, definitely.
So, actually, we should maybe be happy about the fact it happened, because personally we got a lot out of it, but it was a tough year, let's call it that. But yeah,
fun.
We still had
challenging.
Fun. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
So the second challenge?
Yeah.
Second challenge. Oh, that's mostly my part. It was the accounting part, so the actual treasurer role. Let's say, when I got introduced to the role itself, I was not super aware of all of the things that were happening in the background. And also at the same time, I didn't really know financial stuff. So I didn't know, for example, what is an income statement, what is like a balance sheet. Like, these are like the main things that you should know as a treasurer. I was like introduced them only as a surface, but I was not actually going in depth with them. So I had to figure out a lot of the stuff on my own. And a really important thing to mention is that once I started doing that, I realized that a lot of numbers were not matching. So that was like a big issue, because the financial platform that Victor was mentioning before that we switched to, it was totally different than the one that we had before. So the one that we had before was mainly putting everything manually and then doing the stuff and balancing out, so you basically could do corrections by hand. The one that we have right now picks everything automatically from our banking account, so you cannot like correct anything anymore. If the numbers are not matching, you need to correct them by yourself in a way or another, so you need to look into the issue. And it was definitely challenging, because I had to like call guys from like 4 years ago to realize what was like that specific transaction made on, and why did you pay that guy more and why did you pay that guy less? Because in the end, it's also about why we receive more money, because everybody's happy when they receive more money. But on an actual financial sheet, you need to say why you receive more, because there must be a reason behind of it. So there were a lot of callings and a lot of help also like from our advisory board, which, I have to mention that now I'm part of. And also those people like stay with me like long nights for figuring out how to do stuff. So it was mainly me, but also like a lot of help from other fellow mates.
And maybe a third challenge, but I think that's for every board in general. It's just the fact, how are you going to plan your responsibilities and the time you need to put into the association with all the other things you're doing. And I'm at the at the end, it might be the wrong decision, but hey, I made it anyway. I decided to do part-time work during my gap year after my bachelor, which I combined with this board year. So I was working 4 days a week, and next to that I did the board. And it was tough because, between 9 and 5 you're at the office doing your work, and then Patrick or other people called like, hey, how does this work? When are we gonna fix this? And when can you help me with this? I'm like, sorry, I just, even if I could pick up, I was like, sorry, I'm at work, I really can't help. So we did a lot of things in the evenings, and we're usually Tuesday evenings when we had the board meeting, it usually went on 2 or 3 hours, and then afterwards we were like, shit, we forgot this and this. Well, okay, we'll do that tomorrow at the event. And then Wednesday evenings were the event. So yeah, we put in a lot of work. And for me, it was a bit challenging because I just had one day off, which was Thursday. And then I had to do everything, like do my laundry. I had to get grocery shopping, buy new shoes, whatever, because the weekend was also all very busy. So it was tough. But it does learn you a lot about time management and also on what you can delegate and not. Because as I said, as a chairman, I used to be the guy who said, okay, I know how it works, so I'll just do it so I know it gets done well. And like halfway through the year, I was like, all right, this doesn't work anymore. You need to delegate it more, because both you're a chairman, which needs to delegate stuff, and also you just don't have the time for it. So then I leaned on my board members a bit more. And luckily, they could all pick up the slack, and we still managed. But yeah, that was something I learned from the challenge as well. I don't know how about you, how you fared with the 6 different things you did inside the association or something.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of work and a lot of input from us. Also, like Victor said, like it was mostly about delegating, but he also was involved into a lot of things. Especially like like the sponsorship money, it was mainly a thing done by the external. He is like responsible for that. But at some point we realized that, we kind of need to do it a bit more like forced, the actual stuff, so we can actually achieve our goal. And then all of us started to like just pick up the phone and start dialing. And by the way, that one is from the movie, so I need to quote that because otherwise I will get copyright.
This guy's just quote fishing, man. He's like, give me that quote.
That's true. So really important stuff that I also have to mention. I don't know if that is going to interfere with another question. If people are considering to join the board, you can do it as a part-time board. So you don't really need to go full-time on it and then spend all of your day like on it. You can definitely do it like together with your studies. But it's really important that you really manage to do your time management, because that was my issue last year. And then this guy already knows what I'm talking about, because I was part of 2 committees. I was part of the board. I was part also of the dispute of the Duitenberg. And also at the same time, I was doing extra activities. So I was every day from 8:45 to like 10 on campus, and not only on campus, but also like around the city. So time management is definitely a thing that you need to have in check, and probably not, you need to have it like perfect, because you are going to like learn it on the way, but you really need to know and how to put your priorities in life.
Yeah. Well, I was just of the mentality, just throw yourself in the deep and see how well you can swim. And that's, in my opinion, the best way to learn. So indeed, it's tough because you get a lot more responsibility, which takes more time. But in the end, I think it's the best way to learn how this works, because it's going to be happening throughout your whole career and life as well. So
yeah, I love that mentality.
Yeah,
very nice.
And it's only 1 year. Like when I started, I was like, all right, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then you're like, okay, I can't do everything right now because just my week is just only an X amount of hours that I can spend, and otherwise I need to sleep less, and that's no option. But you always have in the back of your mind, you're not like CEO of a company that needs to do this in an X amount of years. It's just 1 year and then a new board gets in. So sometimes you're like, okay, it's only 6 more months and then it's fine. So you have to get yourself through it. But yeah, we made it in the end.
You mentioned the dispute, I think 2 or 3 times by now, and we still don't know what that is.
All right, so I guess it's time to talk about it.
Let's go.
So a dispute, I don't know if you people know what it is, or probably the people that are watching us. So a dispute is like the translation of it in English is fraternity or sorority. It depends on how you are. Usually like the disputes are like either like especially for women or especially for men. So for example, you have like disputes in Enschede that are like only especially for women, and the ones that are especially for men. In our case, being like a lot of people that are like mostly male in our association, We have the one for the guys, but of course we are also open to have one for the girls if they are more interested and willing to participate to our events. And what exactly we are doing? So probably some people that are watching us are thinking, yeah, dispute, probably something like our dentist or other kind of this type of events that we are having. But no, we are different. So we are basically, let's say, more exclusive group of Duitenberg, if I can call it like that.
Exclusive.
If I can call it like that. So it was founded in 2018. All of the board members at that point founded. So we call them the founding fathers of it. The main idea of it is that having mostly like-minded people in it. So basically people that are into it are either people that are working in a financial institution or people that are working in financial fields. And our main idea of a dispute is basically sharing our thoughts about stuff and being more close to each other. So kind of a family, if you call it, but a family that is interested into finance. So that's how I would put it, in a nutshell.
Financially healthy family.
Financially healthy family, indeed. And what we are doing, we are having dinners together. That is our main idea. We party together and also we go in trips together. So now we are planning a trip to go to probably France to ski. And that will happen probably around February. Apart from that, we also have Christmas dinners, so we are eating together in Christmas, and it's really nice because some of these members are either living in Amsterdam, Norway, or other countries, and then seeing them after 1 year, it's already a close connection building up again because these people you see them probably once or twice, some of them, or other people you see them probably every week. So it's this kind of thing that is happening.
Nice.
Yeah. But I probably shall also mention how you get into this kind of dispute. So it's mostly based on an invitation. So people don't really apply for it. People are invited if the people that are either the chairman or the board of the dispute, because they are still part of Duitenberg. As I think at Chamber of Commerce, we are basically a subsidy in a way as a structure. But they are an independent thing, and then if you want to be part of it, you are is based on invitation. You get invited, and if people think that you are a good fit for it, then you go through a program, which is a thing that could be mentioned mostly in private how it goes.
I see.
But not too crazy. That's a good thing to mention.
Yeah. Let's talk about your personal and professional development, both of yours.
All right.
What skills have you gained that you could not gain anywhere else in Duitenberg? And if you have any specific stories of growth or anything that you consider relevant for this?
For me personally, I think mainly time management, as we've already talked about, because my schedule was a mess before starting the board year, but also, what should I say? The activity with Zwolle and Nijmegen we had, it was just an idea when I started as chairman. And then it was all right, nothing exists about this whole idea. Nothing we have done in previous years that you could check up on how does this work. No budgets you can reference regarding what costs we should spend on which part. It's just okay, we have an idea, now you have to completely start from scratch. And that's something you just really don't know, and I should say can't really learn from anywhere else. Because usually if you join a committee, the committee has done things in previous years that, you're just replicating now or improving on. And most boards also just have their certain things they do each year, and then you just do it again. And this was completely new. So it was something I learned a lot from, because it was quite tough getting a speaker, because most people said, interested, but not on the date. So good luck with finding someone else, or someone that was interested, but in the end just cancelled, and then you have to figure something out again. So you had a plan B and whatever. Yeah, it was very fun to organize. I think most of the people attended were very happy with the event, but there went a lot of planning into it. So that's something I learned a lot from. Something else, just in general, as I said previously, just jump in and see how well you can swim. And our board got left with quite a bit of a mess, next to the mess from the previous treasurer, some other things as well. And also the board members from the board year prior to us, they all had to go back to home and whatever. So they weren't really at the association anymore. So you just couldn't ask them about something. So a lot of things we had to figure out on our own, and you learn a lot of the things from that as well. So I think that developed me personally quite a lot. And I always said I wanted to join a board year because it learns you skills you just can't learn during your studies. And I still live by that. So join a board, or at least an important committee in your study time, because it's going to learn you so many things, and it gives you a completely different perspective on life in general. Because at university you live in a bubble, and if you join a committee that's responsible for something, you get torn out of that bubble like immediately, and then you just, with your new responsibility, you have to figure out how it works. So yeah, I think I learned a lot from it personally.
What about you, Patrick?
That's a good example. Well, apart from the financial stuff, which in my opinion are super important, so now kind of a promotion for like the treasurer position if people are interested into going for it. I think a really important thing that you are learning as a treasurer is like how to manage finances, not only for an association, but you can also learn how to do it for a firm. So like apart from the fact that you're a student association, you are playing around, you just probably messing sometimes with like kind of a certain kind of things. In the end, you are still like legal responsible for whatever you are doing. So, for example, when you register to the Chamber of Commerce, translated in Dutch will be KVK, you basically sign yourself that, if any kind of things that you are doing there are not ethical, or like you are doing certain kind of stuff that are illegal, you can definitely go to court and like, have to respond and defend yourself. And really important thing, apart from the financial part, also apart from what Victor said, it's really a good thing to join a board because you start to know how to talk with people. And that's like the most important thing that I understand during my board year is that, you can do promotion, you can do your job really good, either as an external getting companies inside of our association, either as an internal promoting the stuff, or either as a chairman, like managing the whole stuff. But at the end, you really need to talk. You really need to know how to talk with people because they are the main core of every association. And if they feel comfortable with the way that you are presenting the stuff, with the way that you are managing the stuff, with what you are bringing on the table, then they will also be involved later on. And I think that's how you actually keep the members in. Because, of course, you can give them knowledge, you can give them connections, you can give them everything. But if you don't have them close to your heart, let's say, then they will probably just go away. So it will be just a person that kind of slips through the association, and then after 2-3 weeks, you don't see them anymore. So, that's a really important know how to keep people inside and how to get close to people. And our association, I think, is doing really good at that because we are not that big, so we can get personal to people and actually see what do you like and how we can improve it. And if you're interested, would you be down for like also go for a board or investment committee?
I don't think we've heard that view of being bored and like this kind of responsibility before, at least on the podcast. So that's a really nice way of presenting the board and the responsibility of being a board and keeping the members in.
Yeah, because, I think a good thing about our association, every association has the hierarchy, Chairman is on top, all the others are kind of slaves for it.
Fuck off, man.
But that's what I wanted to say. Like in our case, it's not the same because we also by legal stuff, but also by the way that we run our things from the beginning, everybody's equal. So if I say like something, it doesn't mean that, it's only me saying that in saying like me in behalf of the whole board. So all of us are equal there, and also like we are not in any kind of matter above our members because our members are like our main help in the whole thing. So building a relation close to your members and also close to the active members especially is the most important thing.
Now focusing back on students, can you tell us some reasons why students should consider joining Duitenberg and not any other investing association in UT?
Well, first of all, I think we're the only one. So if you're interested, join us, of course. Does the Saxion have one? I don't think so, right?
No, we are also for Saxion.
So we're
Okay.
also for Saxion. So we're actually the only one in Enschede. You can go to Zwolle, but that's a bit out of the way, I think.
Okay, let's put it a different way.
Yeah.
Why would a student join Duitenberg and not just purchase an online course or like join something online or like organized?
Yeah, now it's going to sound a lot like a sales pitch. But yeah, well, in general, we just provide way more than such a course ever could. Because as I said, the network and the people you can talk to stating, hey, this is what I thought about this company. What do you think about it? And also the in-house days, the trips, the guest lectures, just some insider knowledge you just don't get on the internet. I think that's what we provide best. And well, looking at the amount you have to pay a year, it's 25 euros for a year. It's just 5 specialty beers at Terrace here in the city center, so it's nothing. And you get so much more back than you could ever ask for and dream for. So even if you're just interested in finance, just join us, and you'll see what the beautiful world of finance has got for you. I don't know if you have something to add about that.
Yeah, like the way that we make ourselves different from any kind of other associations. So not only like investing associations, but also like normal associations that are like present in the UT, is the fact that so what we offer to people, and is kind of unique in a way, is the fact that they can find not only interest in knowledge, but they can also find friends. And I going again probably around the loop with like networking and all of the stuff. And in my opinion, having knowledge about something, and you, for example, telling me about like the course and like knowing all of those stuff is important. Don't get me wrong. It's really important to know the financial stuff. It's really important to know how the things are going, especially for you as an individual, and that's how we also promote it. But in the end, it's also important that you build relations with people. You have friends. You go somewhere where you feel, let's say now the word in Dutch, gezellig.
Beautiful word. I love it.
Exactly. So you want to have an association when you feel part of it. You don't feel like a thing extra that you just go there. And probably that's also like why like me and like Victor, for example, promote association, even though we are not having any kind of other positions into it anymore. We just promote it because we believe into it. We don't promote it because we just, get something out of it or something like that. We promote it because we trust it, and we know that apart from the financial stuff, it brings you like-minded people together, and then you have those people for life. Yeah. And I can like give you a good example from one of our like former, I think Peter Klopp was chairman or
I think so.
He was telling us like super interesting stories about stuff that happened like in the financial crisis in 2008, and then how they handled the stuff and how he built like basically trust with other people. And then we had like a lecture with him in our academic year, and then he was meeting together with his board member at that point. But they were talking that they were strangers, because, like sometimes when you don't see a person after a long time, and especially if you don't keep connection with them, you feel they are strangers to you. They felt like naturally talking like they were talking in the day they were board members together. So that's like a really important thing that we offer to people that probably other associations cannot do it in such a good way.
That's a really, really good point, because I think we're all part of a study association. I'm from Stress because I do IEM. And as you said, I don't feel connected with it. I just know I'm a part of it. I can go to the lectures they give, but that's about it. With us, you're part of the association. Even if you only show up once a month or once every 2 months, you always say, oh, hey, I haven't seen you around for quite some time. How is it going and whatever. And usually you find some people inside of the association you really click well with, so you just stick with them, and then you as the board or as the active members make sure that you just talk to everybody, see how everybody's doing. Luckily, we're not too large that becomes a problem, but then still it makes sure that you feel actually part of the association. You're not only showing up and then watching the lecture and going home again. It's really like, oh, I can see people I haven't seen in weeks again because, I was on holiday or way too busy with studies. And, oh, this is an interesting lecture. Let's just go and see what they have to say about it. And then afterwards we'll have a bit of a drink and talk to our friends again. So I think that's a really good point. And that's not what you find by many other associations.
Yeah, and as a parenthesis, probably you can associate it with like a class in high school or like in secondary school or all of other like hierarchy of school systems. That like in university you started to have like group of friends, but like they are like quite like small ones. In terms of like high school, you are a class and then you are all like united and you go towards a certain like goal together. So you are like multiple people working for the same goal, and then this is how our association is also. So we can call it like a class that people are interested in the same thing, but we can also call it like a family that people are actually like willing to do stuff for each other, even outside of their like working hours, I would say. Yeah. I go quite in depth with the stuff, but yeah.
And further, based on your experience in the board, what advice would you give to someone who is hesitant about taking a leadership role in an association?
Just do it, to quote Nike. But no, in my opinion, I was also hesitant, mainly because I was thinking about, can I combine it with my weekends? I always plan completely full and my working throughout the week. I was just like, but I'm never going to get this opportunity again. Just keep in mind that you're never going to get a board opportunity like this ever again after you stop your studies. I would advise, don't do it in your third year of your bachelor, because then you might have a problem with your bachelor thesis. But if you're fine with extending that half a year, then you should definitely go for it. But just start with it. And it might seem like an impossible task, the moment you get hammered in and you're like, what do I have to do and whatever. And based on the association, you usually get a lot of help from previous boards. We had a bit less, but still we managed.
Yeah.
And you're just going to learn so much you're never going to learn anywhere else. That even though it might be a big challenge, and even though it might be tough some weeks to actually manage your time and get the stuff done that needs to be done, and it's going to give you a bit of stress, you're going to be so very happy you made a decision at the end of the year, because these are just unforgettable skills and unforgettable times that you're never going to get anywhere else. So just start with it, even though it might be a bit tricky.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Like we were talking about the challenges that we have, and then the amount of things that we're going into, and then how we figure out stuff and how we had calls in the night. But in the end, if I'm doing like now, I think the word in English is retrospective. So looking back of how things actually went, I cannot imagine myself a better time of like exactly the time that I had there, because apart from being stressed sometimes and figuring out stuff, those parties that we had like were the moments that we can actually be us and actually see how we prosper as an association and what we have done, and kind of collect our gains.
Yeah. And as a last remark, you're not doing it alone. Like, even though you might say, this is very tough, I could always call all my other board members and they always pick up saying, hey, what's up? What shall we do? And they're also human. Like, if your girlfriend breaks up with you, or your parent dies, or whatever shit happens in life, they can understand what happens. And if you just need a week off because whatever happened, even if it's not tough, you're just like, my head is completely filled with studies, I have no idea how to fix it. They'll say, okay, make sure you finish this document by the end of the week, and we wish you good luck with your studies. We'll see you next week. So things like that also can happen, because life just throws weird balls at you that you sometimes can't dodge. So you're not doing it alone, and you're definitely gonna manage. And also, as you said, you're gonna make friends for the rest of your life. I think in 20 years, we even joked about we have 2 Romanian people on the board, and people said, one of them said, if I ever become a president of Romania, you're always invited. So I'm like, sure, man, I'm definitely gonna be coming around. So things like that. So even if we're 30, and as you always also said, the previous board members, they still see each other as friends. You just create a bond you can't really break afterwards anymore. So,
yep.
Okay, now let's focus a bit on the future of Duitenberg. Where do you see the association heading in the next few years?
Yeah, I can talk about that. I don't know what exactly are the plans of the current board, because, we are former board members, so we are not actually directly involved anymore with how it goes and what exactly are the plans. But we can definitely talk about what plans we kind of integrated into our association and what we wanted to achieve. And some of them were achieved like during our board year, but some of them were also kind of a pending process. So we kind of let for the other people like doing it in the future. What we want to achieve with our association. So firstly, becoming I think we are already the biggest association in the east part of the Netherlands.
Overijssel, definitely.
Overijssel. We definitely want to raise the recognition of Duitenberg. So we want to actually go to people, for example, in Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and say, I'm from Duitenberg. Oh, I know you guys. You guys know, I know you because of that and that and that. And of course,
in a good way too.
In a good way,
course.
in a good way, definitely. But firstly, the recognition, so people knowing about us more and what exactly we are doing. Because sometimes I was like talking with friends, and even though, I'm posting sometimes on my personal account on Instagram, this event of Duitenberg, come here, this event. People still like don't know about it, and I think just raising up the recognition of it will be probably the best thing, and one of the future plans. And another plan will be probably, and now I don't know how that will be like achieved like directly in the future, but I was having that into my mind, and I was also like talking sometimes with my fellow board members. Actually, probably creating something unique that nobody, like no other association has in the Netherlands. So, for example, we know the association, I think FSR Rotterdam, so Financial Association Rotterdam, I think is the biggest one in Europe. And they have like a lot of like other stuff than we don't have. So probably like just creating something, and I was thinking about probably like a trust fund at some point, which is like a super
ambitious.
hard thing to do, which requires a lot of money, of course, and a lot of sponsorship. But having that kind of stuff, and probably now I'm giving ideas to other people that can actually probably achieve it. Don't steal my ideas.
Don't say it, man. Don't say it.
Quote me there. Probably just creating something that no one has ever created and being unique on the market was one of our future plans. And we started to build up on something, but now it's still in the pending process. So it's not finalized, and I think it's still in an early stage.
Yeah, I think that those are very good points. And just to get a bit more elaborate on the recognition, I think that's another challenge we as Duitenberg in general focus. We fall under no category in the UT. We're not sports, we're not study, we're not theater / dance, whatever. I don't know what that's called again. So we're just floating around somewhere in the whole vicinity. And as Patrick stated, almost nobody knows the name Duitenberg. And even though the people from Stress, even though we came from Stress, nobody really knows the name. So indeed, I had to get into Duitenberg via someone else. So that's something I hope Duitenberg is in like a couple of years. It gets way better that when you say someone, hey, I'm in Duitenberg, people know what you're talking about.
Yes. And now probably a bit more specific goal. I really want to do the website from scratch.
That's his specific goal. Yeah.
That's a very specific goal. Yeah. Well, since this is a podcast in which we hope to inspire students and to basically give a voice to students, do you have any piece of advice that you would like to give to your fellow students? It can be related to Duitenberg, it can be related to just your study journeys, anything.
I do think I have something. I don't know if I'm still thinking.
I have multiple things, but I have to think about how to put it in only one sentence.
Oh, well.
So you can start.
I'm the guy that always never puts something in one sentence. But in general, I would say don't see study just to get a diploma. And that might seem weird that like you're studying because you want to get a diploma, right? And yes, of course. But as I've done a year that was way too busy, like I put in more than 40 hours a week because of work and this board, you see that as soon as you start a full-time job, you're never going to have the opportunities again that you currently have. Like every time I wake up and it's like 9:30 in the morning, I'm like, oh, I only have to do something at 12. That's never going to happen again. So use the time you have now that you don't need to put into studying or in something else to like develop yourself. So if you want to put it in one sentence, is use your study time to develop your non-academic skills. And that can be done any way, shape or form. I think a board / committee is a very good way to develop this. But use that time because it's going to be invaluable for the rest of your life and you're never going to get such an opportunity again.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. In my view, yeah, I think studying is important. So whoever thinks probably see this podcast before they go into university. In my opinion, even though a lot of people don't agree with me, following a university is super important. And if you arrive as a student, of course, what you're studying is also important because that builds up your future dream. But at the same time, you cannot do everything alone. And you have to understand that you cannot do everything alone. And you need people around you. You need a team because, for example, we were talking about at some point in the investment committee about the investment board and how well we are doing as a team. But at the same time, there are bigger teams, for example, as Optiver, which are like building stuff and they're like there for 24/7 just because they have people that are way more. They have way more people and then they are doing those stuff like 24/7. So believe in yourself that you can do a lot of stuff, but at the same time, be also aware that you need a team. And then how you do those stuff is not during university. And I have probably to disappoint a lot of people. During university, you do group projects, but in your group projects, probably you don't really work equally because a lot of people do more stuff than the others. So it will never be an equal work, or probably almost never. It depends on also like the workflow and all of the stuff. But doing something extra and actually following some activities that are probably not even related to your studies is something that you will benefit the most in your life. And that's like a thing that I wanted to like put in a spotlight. So either is Duitenberg in terms of financials, either is like boxing association from UT, either is like some tennis association, either is like dancing, whatever you do and whatever you want and you feel that you can do like in the same time with your studies and also you think that you'll use it in the future, go for it. Don't think about it, I don't have time today, I don't have time tomorrow, I will probably have time like next module. Just plan it and do it and don't let it because, you will think about, and also like I'm now thinking about myself, your academic year goes fast and you don't realize,
yes.
and then you don't realize when you're in your third year and then you already have to say goodbye to a lot of your friends that you like build up relationships. And also really important is that relationships that you are building in your university life are way more true than the ones from your work life. Because people, and then
amen, brother, amen.
And then people that are like in a working environment. So for example, you work at a company, you can probably have friends, but they will mostly be something in between. They want to get an advantage from you. They will like get more along with you because they want to, I don't know, have you like in like hard times when they are not dealing with something, and then they will be like, yeah, I'll help you at some point. Now you have to help me or something like that. And I've heard a lot of stories from a lot of people. And in university, you don't have that. In university, you are, in my opinion, you are true about the things because you don't really think about a gain in the end. You think about, everybody's the same. And that's, I think, the period of time when people are the most honest in their life. And then that's the moment when you're building relationships.
So deep, man. Well, I completely agree.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
Well, yeah, I do have some experience working, and I completely agree. Like, there's not one of my colleagues that I would say, oh, I'll just call him up and say, hey, do you want to have a drink tonight? Like, no one. Well, half of the people I have I did my project groups with, I would probably call up right now, say, hey, what do you do tonight? So indeed, it's completely true. You're not really making friends at work. And another thing is a general advice with regarding to what we do, finance. People, please save some money. Like, there's so many students I hear that at like the 20th of the month, like, okay, I need to eat nothing for the coming next 4 days because then Duo gives me money again. I'm like, how is it possible that you have no money on your savings account? Just put like 500 to 1,000 euros on your savings account just to get these types of things. Like, let's say your bike gets stolen. Yeah. Well, good luck getting a new one without money. Or let's say the owner of your house gets mad at you saying, hey, you need to pay this because whatever. And you're like, oh, I need to get out of my house if I don't pay this 200 euro fine, but I have no money. Then you have to call your parents again, like, help me, I have no money. Just make sure you have a 500 or 1,000 euro safety net.
I am one of those students.
So my advice: 500 euros on your savings account.
Immediately.
No, you can build it up.
Let's not call it a saving. Let's call it an emergency fund.
An emergency fund. Yeah,
Emergency.
just make sure you have some money laying around. That whatever happens, you have some money. And next to that, make sure you save up for unexpected things, because there have been so many vacations I had to cancel because I was like, yeah, well, no money. And if I the year prior I'd spent like 50 euros a month put into my future expense fund, then I would have easily been able to pay those vacations and made beautiful memories. So those are two financial. This is actual financial advice, because if you don't do it, you can't really blame me. So that's what I would say.
That's very good advice. Well, actually, I think we're done with the questions. That was all from us. So,
all right.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting.
It was very
much for
insightful.
having us. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, as we said, it's not really any typical association we ran, so
Well,
we probably have something interesting to say. But thank you very much for having us. Wow.
of course. It was our pleasure.
And we hope that the answers that we gave you were the answers that you expected, or the unexpected in a good way. So,
Yeah.
yes.